Did you just say that the whistleblower or the informant is now missing?
Well, we're hopeful that we can find the informant. Now, remember, these informants are kind of in the spy business, so they don't make a habit of being seen a lot or being high profile or anything like that. We have basic information with respect to what the informant has alleged, and it's very serious. It alleges that Joe Biden, when he was vice president, was involved in a quid pro quo with a foreign country in exchange for foreign aid. This is a very serious accusation. All the FBI has to do is say, yeah, we looked into it and it wasn't a credible informant. But they won't answer our questions.
Are there whistleblowers or informants missing right now?
Well, with what we've investigated and the people that we've tracked down, going back to the CEFC, the two main players in that business, as well as all the Americans that were involved in the different Biden influence peddling schemes, as well as the Serbian national. The 9 of the 10 people that we've identified that have very good knowledge with respect to the Bidens, they're one of 3 things, Maria. They're either currently in court, they're currently in jail, or they're currently missing. So it's of the utmost importance that the FBI work with us to be able to try to identify what research they've done, what investigations they've done, because we have people that want to come forward, but honestly, Maria, they fear for their lives. Not only are the Biden lawyers and the Biden White House intimidating them, the media is trying to intimidate and discredit them. And I think if you look at the Rasmussen poll, 7 in 10 Americans are very concerned that Joe Biden's involved in a public corruption scheme, and they want to know more information. 7 in 10 Americans strongly support the work that our House Oversight Committee is doing, investigating the Biden influence peddling. And we just need to get some cooperation from these different deep state bureaucracies that are standing in our way.
This is absolutely extraordinary, and it is stunning that some people are missing, that you need to prove this. Who in the White House is intimidating these people? Do you know?
I do know. We're saving that for a later time. But I can tell you one thing that a lot of people don't know. When I issue a subpoena to a bank or to an individual, the second I issue that, Jamie Raskins gets that. And when we get information in from the bank or from any individual, they make 2 copies, one for the majority, which are the Republicans, one for the minority, which are the Democrats. And my biggest problem with the Democrats on the House Oversight Committee is they're acting as a criminal defense attorney for the Biden family.
Oh my God, we've got breaking news. It just so happens that Republicans found the one guy who can finally prove their claims that Joe Biden's been selling his influence while in the White House and legitimize the GOP's months-long investigation. But you're not going to believe this. They can't find him. What are the odds? On an unrelated note, I really wanted to introduce you all to my supermodel girlfriend, except she's not here right now because she lives in Canada. This is James Comer speaking with Maria Bartiromo, who is either the world's most gullible TV host or its most shameless partisan hack, and a third option would also be accepted, C, all of the above. And just as a quick aside, it is incredible to watch how smoothly Bartiromo has transitioned from platforming all of those election-denying conspiracy theorists to now platforming all of these Joe Biden crime family conspiracy theorists. This woman has not met a rabbit hole that she won't go down in pursuit of just the most desperate pandering to right-wing idiots. I mean, dear God, just listen to her play make-believe that this is some monumental news story.
Just stunning. A stunning breaking news story this morning that some of these people now may be missing. Mr. Chairman, we're certainly going to be covering and reporting your findings. Thanks very much.
Yeah, the biggest story of the year. And while no one is brave enough to buy in, don't worry everyone, Maria's on the case and she'll be following this story very closely so that when they find this very elusive person, she'll make sure you know. But Maria Bartiromo aside, let's not forget here that despite months and months of Republicans trying to implicate Joe Biden in some giant racketeering scheme, they've failed to produce even a modicum of evidence proving their claims. In fact, their preliminary findings uncovered zero zero evidence of any link to Joe Biden. Here's the New York Times cover. House Republicans report finds no evidence of wrongdoing by President Biden. After months of investigation and many public accusations of corruption against Mr. Biden and his family, the first report of the premier House GOP inquiry showed no proof of such misconduct. So the fact that James Comer is still parading himself on air goes to show that this was never actually about any evidence and entirely about selling a bogus narrative. Now, in fairness, here's what the Republican investigation did uncover: that businesses connected to Hunter Biden received more than $10 million from foreign companies, and that Biden falsely denied his son had ties to Chinese businesses. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again, it is not illegal or even abnormal for a private citizen to do business. Hunter Biden is a lawyer. He was paid for legal and consulting services. You may not think he's qualified to get paid for his consulting or legal expertise, and that's your prerogative, but it is not illegal to be unqualified. The issue would be if those payments to Hunter had a link to Joe Biden, but they don't, something the House Republicans' own report concedes. So at this point, Republicans are basically harassing a private citizen for doing business because they're desperate to implicate his dad, for which there is literally no link. And that's a point that Democratic Congressman Daniel Goldman brought up in our latest interview.
It's shocking to see the rhetoric that's coming out of the Republicans based on what they have produced, talking about public corruption at the highest order and all this Biden crime family stuff. First of all, let's be clear. What they have is some corporate entities, which presumably had business deals with foreign entities, received money, and then distributed that money to other individuals, very possibly and likely investors in that corporate entity. I mean, this happens thousands and thousands of times every day. But what they don't have is any link to the president, and yet they're acting as if the president is some kind of mob boss overseeing a racketeering enterprise, trying to do business, or I mean, even worse, to use, to essentially get paid by foreign governments in return for policy decisions. They haven't found an iota of that. There is nothing wrong with the private citizen doing business in China. And in fact, we know that. We know that the Republicans believe that because Donald Trump had a Chinese bank account until 2018 while he was president.
Yeah.
So let's get off our high horse. Let's stop exaggerating what we found in order to support your baseless accusations. And let's get back to doing the business that we're supposed to be here to do.
And that full interview is now available on my YouTube channel. As for Comer, there's another statement that he made that I think pretty effectively sums up his failed effort here.
We know that Joe Biden was actively involved, and we're still looking for more bank records that we believe will implicate Joe Biden's active participation in this at the end of the day.
We know that Joe Biden was actively involved, and we're still looking for more bank records that we believe will implicate Biden's active participation in this at the end of the day, which is a whole lot of words to say that they have nothing. Sure, they may believe that he'll be implicated, but that's a hell of a lot different than them having evidence that he was implicated. And as I mentioned before, they know that. But the problem is that they have to keep pretending that this is some major story because they spent so long amping up these claims that they have no choice now but to keep going. They're pot committed. They know that if they concede publicly that the entire basis for the House agenda was a nothing burger, that they'll look as ridiculous as they are. And so instead, we're left with performances like the one we're seeing by James Comer, egged on by even worse political theater by Maria Bartiromo. If you're a Fox viewer and watch that program in good faith, then please know that these people are both lying, they both know that they're lying, and Fox treats their audience like marks. They are not there to inform you, they are there to manipulate you. The only people not in on it are their viewers. So I have zero doubt that the James Comers and Maria Bartiromos will continue to play make-believe and sell these non-existent stories because they can't bear the embarrassment that would come from having to admit that they were chasing a ghost. Although at this point, the only thing more embarrassing is this low-rent community theater that they're doing right now. Before you go, I need your help. I'm right on the cusp of hitting 2 million subscribers, so please help me grow this channel so the progressive media ecosystem grows by hitting the subscribe button right here on the screen. I also started a Spanish channel so we can finally start regaining some of that lost ground among Spanish speakers, so if you want to help support those efforts, you can hit that subscribe button. And finally, if you listen to podcasts and you want to support mine, you'll find a link to that on the screen as well. Thanks so much for watching.